Most complimented fragrances for men, here are 5. These are not ranked, just a few suggestions for you to have you smelling fantastic and of course attract a bunch of feminine attention. Tom Ford New York Stream. Upon the first spray, it's an immediate sweet vanilla accord with a well-blended mix of spices and florals. The spices encase the vanilla and kind of showcase it like a prize, pushing it to the top. They are strong at first, but after 10 to 15 minutes, they give way to a sweeter vanilla and a unique note. The top notes of florals were the least prevalent, but gave the opening a light, juicy, citric nature. At the same time as the spices transition to vanilla, the florals combine with the ambery warmth. It's an outstanding balance on both ends and gives the scent depth. This all happens in about 15 minutes, and then you're into the mid of the fragrance with sweet vanilla and kulfi, while ambery florals rest in the background. If you're unfamiliar with kulfi, it's an Indian dessert, and in this case it comes across as nutty vanilla ice cream. The nuttiness is similar to pistachio. Into the dry down, the scent simplifies even further. It is all about warm vanilla and amber with prevalent woody notes. The base isn't anything crazy, but it's more straightforward in nature and still delightful. And then for the rest of the wear, it's just creamy and mature with woody, amber, and vanilla notes. Now onto the performance. The scent has the potential to last till the next day on your skin and a giant projection for hours. Yet this supreme performance is a blessing and a curse. It is simply too strong in the warmer months, limiting your wear to fall and winter. Now for occasions, it's not everyday wear, though it is the perfect show-stopping fragrance for a date or formal occasion. Jean Paul Gaultier La Mala Parfum. It opens with an equal blast of cardamom spice and warm sweet vanilla. I particularly enjoy that the vanilla is not too overly sweet and rather provides an excellent balance for the warm cardamom spice. After about 15 or 20 minutes, the top notes die down and a slightly powdery lavender adds to the background and just gives the entire scent a calming aurora. For a large chunk of the heart, it gets slightly more floral, but for the most part, it holds on to the same smell as at the 15 to 20 minute mark. After about 6 hours, it starts to dry down. The florals and spice fade, yet I still catch wafts of warm and sweet vanilla lingering in the background that now add to the dominant woody notes in the base. The rest of the wear is this sexy oriental woods with phenolic nuances. Now the performance, this is what some people would call beast mode. It lasts 12 plus hours on the skin and will fill a room with its projection. I mean, it pushes out 5 to 6 feet for multiple hours before ever receding to the skin and definitely never becoming a skin scent. Now for seasons and wearability, it is pretty loud, so it's going to be best for fall and winter. And then occasions, it's primarily for going out, but you can still wear it for casual situations if you moderate your sprays. Of course, the infamous Dior Sauvage Eau de Parfum. On my skin, the opening starts with a blast of fresh bergamot. In the background are mildly spicy pepper notes and a clean soapy lavender. In this case, lavender is very modern and uplifting, rather than the old school traditional as you might smell. As the scent develops, the citrus notes fade, but leave their fresh accents. The ambroxan from the base starts to push to the forefront. The spices are slightly more prominent as the ambroxan pushes them to the top. At this point, the lavender is almost entirely gone. A soft and well-rounded nature takes its place. The rest of the wear is simple. Warm ambroxan is the most prominent, accompanied by those fresh accents from before. Of all parts of the fragrance, the opening is the most interesting since there is the most going on. The performance is outstanding. It lasts 8 to 10 hours on the skin with big projection. The first few hours it pushes out 3 to 4 feet with 3 sprays and then recedes closer to the skin but never becomes a skin scent. Now I wouldn't call the EDP version beast mode, but it sure is close. Versace Dylan Blue. The smell opens with a citrus blast from a combination of bergamot and grapefruit. Interesting enough, it almost smells a bit fruity, even though there are no signs of fruit in this fragrance. I think this is from the combination of salty ambroxan and citruses in the top. I will talk about the salty ambroxan later in this description. These ambroxan sit on top of an aquatic backbone that is present but not as prominent as it will be later in the wear. The heart of the fragrance is kind of a battleground. This ambroxan is fighting for dominance, while the slightly spicy and citric nuances from before linger into the heart of the fragrance. After about 2 to 3 hours, the fragrance settles into place and you really get much of that salty ambroxan with musk nuances. Salty and Broxton doesn't make sense. Think of it like ocean water mixed with Dior Sauvages and Broxton Dry Down. Now this may be confusing also, but this is the best way to describe it if you've never smelled Dylan Blue before. The performance, excellent. On my skin, it lasts 8 to 10 hours and projects 2 to 3 feet for the first few. It then recedes closer to the skin, but definitely never becomes a skin scent. The projection won't fill a room, but it'll definitely make your presence known. So how about the versatility? Well, that's easy. Everything and anything. This can be worn for all occasions and all seasons, spring, summer, fall, and winter. Lastly, the compliment king, Yves Saint Laurent Y Eau de Parfum. It's fresh, warm, and woody. The opening starts with a mostly fresh and spicy ginger, has a very zingy feel that pops off the skin. There are subtle fruity nuances that donate fresh accents. This comes from a combination of green apple and bergamot in the background. As the scent develops, much of those top notes give way to a heavier dose of aromatics. These are all green and really emphasize the freshness with an extremely invigorating nature. The mid makes up the bulk of the wear and lingers into the base. Here you'll find more fresh aromatics sitting atop slightly warm amber and wood nuances that give the fragrance depth for the rest of the wear. Now the performance, this lasts 8 to 10 hours on the skin with moderate projection. It pushes out 3 feet for the first few hours, then recedes closer to the skin, definitely never becoming a skin scent. And the versatility, this can be worn for all seasons and all occasions.